Piss off.
Yeah, he's got you. He's got the better of you. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week here at the RGM Experience podcast with me, Carl Maloney. How are you doing? You all right, guys? Just a little thing that I've started to say at the beginning of this podcast, particularly on you YouTube viewers. I've been having a look at some stats, and 90% of the people that are watching our videos at the minute aren't subscribers. So if you could help us out, press the little button in the bottom right there, and it's just easy for you to press subscribers. It'll really help us out. Thanks for that. And we won't let you down with this content, because today we've got Neil Hargreaves from Aggressive Management. Hi, mate.
Hi, mate. This is where your subscribers will rock it.
Well, they don't listen, do they? The people don't listen.
Yeah, they don't. Oh, everything you just said is an absolute waste of time.
I know. I just feel like I've got to fucking try.
Are you all right?
Well, I'm fine. Thanks for joining us today, mate. So I know you're a YouTuber. You've got all these tours. You're a band manager. You've got so much going on, Neil. Thanks for joining us today, pal.
It's all right, mate. I've just had to inject coffee before doing this. I'm so tired, but
nice.
Yeah. But let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it, mate. Well, I just wanted to start off because I think for me, my relationship with you over the years, you've been a little bit of a unofficial mentor for me. So I just wanted to thank you for that over the years to start off with, pal, because you've always pointed me in the right direction when I've gone some wrong directions through the years as well. So that's always appreciated.
You're welcome. No problem. Like trim your eyebrows and all that.
Yeah, trim your eyebrows. Yeah, that's it. Stop drinking at a certain hour. Never got any good. But yeah, I just wanted to officially say that, mate. So, I've known you for a few years. I've known been around you and your brother, the Hargreaves, you guys just for many years, and you've always supported what we did, and you were kind of there right at the start when I was thinking about really going for it with RGM, and you gave me some advice at the past to, ruffle a few feathers and, don't be a boring magazine like the market's quite saturated with. So that's kind of what we still, I don't think we're there as edgy as what I'd like to be, because it's has its own challenges doing that. But I think we've had a good go at it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think so. I've obviously watched your progress all over this time and stuff, and I think it's gone really well. I think ruffling the feathers is probably it's obviously in my nature naturally sometimes, but I think what you've done, you've gone about it the right way, and I think you've done it with the right intentions, and you've seen the backlash that you get.
You do, don't you? But yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Because I've always said it, and I've said it on this podcast. I live in the real world, and conversations are there. Real people are allowed to disagree with each other. Real people are allowed to, particularly in this music industry that we're in. Yeah, where are the real conversations at the minute? Because let's just chat about when things go right, when things go wrong, when I've dropped a bollock. I've mentioned it all the time on this podcast. Part of growing and creating something is dropping a bollock and learning from it as well, isn't it? So it's just like, what do you do?
I think, well, there's a couple of things. One is that when you talk to people in the real world, they don't have the conversations that you would have if you interviewed him for a magazine, for example. They just tell the truth, don't they? And just to say what they think, whether they like a band or not, or what they think of what they're wearing or what they're doing or whatever. Just like gossipy, bitchy stuff every now and again, or just opinions, but that they won't necessarily express. And I think the other one is I think bands and artists learn more if you talk about the stuff that goes wrong, and the pitfalls and things like that, because they can kind of keep an eye on what to avoid as well. Do you know? It's no point in painting that the music industry is like a rosy thing, and that everything's like sweetness and light whenever you talk to people. It's not, because it's not true, is it? It's not real. So I'm believing
life in either, is it? It's a hard to be a creative and to express yourself creatively these days. That's a horrible phrase, I think. I think.
Which phrase? What did you say?
What did I say? Expressing yourself creatively.
Yeah, so that's fair enough.
All right, yeah.
It
has its own challenges, and it doesn't necessarily earn you money to be able to do it, full time, does it? As well, sometimes, which is annoying to some people and me.
I think a lot of bands and artists would be surprised about the level that you have to achieve before you do manage to make any money of it. Because I think there's. I've known bands that have charted, bands that have done national tours and even played in Europe and stuff that still have jobs, and still shoveling money into the band. So I think there's kind of a lack of not reality or real information, but there's a lack of like knowledge and information sometimes about what level you have to be at before it turns into a profit-making thing. Because like one thing every musician will say to you is that they want to be able to do this for a living, which is like that. Obviously, that's the target. That's the goal for a lot of musicians because that's what they want to do because they love making the music, which is the important bit. But to get there, wow, that's a long road that is, and you have to really do well to get to that point, you know.
What stage do you think you have to be at then before what's realistic? Like what kind of level bands you see out there that have just reached that level of being able to maintain?
It's difficult to say because I think you never know what a band's finances are like from the outside, do you? So like when you're looking at bands that you see are playing big shows and UK tours and traveling to Europe and got albums out and everything's looking great, they're still shoveling cash in and still heading to work 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
That's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I think what would really help is if you could, like, I'm a tour manager, so I get to see all the everything to do with like touring. I'm a band manager, so I see everything financials with bands. It would be really interesting if there could be some kind of website that just splatters on it like the financial breakdowns of how a band's doing on a tour and on an album campaign and just on a day-to-day basis, so that bands up and coming still have that ambition to be able to make it for a living, but are still a little bit more aware of what level you have to get to and what you have to do to make that kind of cash and that kind of money.
So I presume every band's obviously got their own deal, haven't they? And you never hear what a band deal is. So there must be massive discrepancies in what bands get from certain record labels all throughout the whole industry. There won't be a there won't be a chart. At this stage you get this. It's this stage you get this. It's hard. Agreed. It's I suppose in a way it's how much can the record company get away with. I suppose.
But it's well, there's I can't say too much, but like I've been dealing with one very toxic relationship with a record label, and like the financials are a right mess. And then another record label, like a smaller one, where it's like absolutely fantastic, but they don't have the oomph and the power to be able to, push the band out further. So swings and roundabouts. But I guess what I was trying to say at is that, and one example of this is like with the merch fees. That like when you go to, I don't know, O2 academies or bigger shows and stuff, they start wanting to take 25% plus VAT off your merch sales. When that was kind of discussed a while back, weren't it, online a few weeks ago, and it kind of, a lot of bands were shocked that was even a thing. But like in reality, it does happen. It happens in O2 academies. It happens in other big venues, and definitely happens out in Europe. Some of the European ones, like the arenas especially, horrific. Like some really, really bad stingy takes off your merch take. And I think little things like that, we're talking financials a lot here, but it does kind of matter. And I'd like less bands to be shocked by it and more bands to be aware of it and more bands to be informed about it. So, they see the potential pitfalls, even though it's like not relevant to them at that moment in time. It's just a good eye opener and a bit of experience.
I did see Live Nation have stopped doing that now. They used to do it, and they've announced that they are going to stop doing it.
I think, have they though? Because I think that's like from what I read, the headline was that, which makes them look fantastic, and then I think the reality is they're doing it for 3 months.
Oh, they're just testing it until they.
Yeah,
because these people put their own people on the merch stand as well, don't they? So it's not.
Yeah.
You're probably not getting the level of service that you want as a fan.
No,
you're getting some just random bloke that's just selling some t-shirts rather than a member of the band. Because I know your son does a lot of the merch stuff for Octoberdrift that you manage as well, doesn't he? And
yeah, it does. Yeah,
Octoberdrift fans will get a different experience from someone that's part of the team than somebody that works for the venue as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, if a fan comes up to the merch table, like, for example, Octoberdrift, where you mentioned, we have Josh on merch, who's obviously a massive fan as well of the band, knows all the ins and outs and stuff. And then
the t-shirt himself.
He does. Yeah, wears it himself. And then, like, fans will come up and they'll be chatting to him about how the tour's going, what the band's up to, and he's able to answer every single question and fill him in a little bit more on, bit of stuff that's behind the scenes and what have you. Nothing sensitive, just inside info that's fun. And so you're right. Like a lot of people do spend time talking to Josh on merch for that reason. But like you got to,
and they'll probably buy more because of it as well, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and he's able to explain the albums and stuff, which albums which. Like we have 2 albums on the merch table and stuff. So he's able to explain that to him as well and give him a bit of inside information. You do make more sales. And then on the flip side, you've got these other places that are taking the merch fees, putting these random geezers on that's selling your merch for you, and taking 25% plus VAT of your merch take. With you have to pay for the merch, guys. It's just madness. But
it's more difficult for the support bands that are on the major tours. That's probably not going to break even at the end of the tour, and to have that 25% of the where they're probably going to earn more on the merch than what they will on the tour.
It
could be the result of either breaking even or even making, God forbid, a bit of profit from a tour.
Your merch can pay for your petrol and pay for your hotels. It can subsidize a lot of losses. Sometimes you can't even break even if you do really well on merch. I've done even like European tours where again, if you're a support band in Europe, it sounds great to do a European tour, and it really is. But if you're a support band and you're getting 50 quid or 100 quid for the gig, and you've got to get to Cologne or whatever, that's a lot of petrol, a lot of hotels, and ferry across and all that, and everything you need for getting into Europe these days and stuff. So, yeah, so you're going to try and claw it back with merch, and then get stung by the merch fees and stuff. But I don't want to like linger on that too long. I just wanted to kind of give an example of that's just one example of like what it's useful for bands to know and understand, I guess, on the way up, and before they get there. So when you get there and you get stung with it for the first time, it's not very nice.
It's not very nice. Well, let's rewind a little bit then. So before you became a band manager, what was Neil like as a young lad growing up? What made you enter the world of being in the creative industry?
Don't know. I think, going right back, I left school when I was 15, lied about my age and got a job DJing in bars and stuff, and then ended up doing the nightclubs in Sheffield. So like literally music in a sort has always been with me and in me, I guess. Massive music fan of like quite, your taste change. Well, yours don't, you just still like Oasis forever, but like my tastes change all the time. Do you know what I mean? So I've got my taste wildly changed. I listen to anything. When I was growing up, when I was a little kid, my mum she subscribed to this great composers. The magazines where you can collect one every week, and then you build up a collection of something.
Yes. Yeah.
Like build a model or whatever. This one was basically like cassettes and vinyls, and you basically just got one every week. So when Tchaikovsky and Mozart and all that. So I learned that when I was really young, just by listening to cassettes of that, and then moved into more mainstream music.
I can imagine out more creeper than walking into a room where you just sat down listening to classical music, Neil.
As a kid.
I know, yeah, I just can imagine like, oh, is he all right?
You coming out to play football? No.
No,
Tchaikovsky's right. Black Swan, whatever it was.
I'm all right. Yeah. So like what happened after that then? Where did your journey take you after that?
So I ended up DJing in like the nightclubs in Sheffield, like Cairo Jacks and places like that. Yeah. Back in Sheffield, and then from that went into. This is the weird thing. So like normally when people say, "Oh, it must be great being a nightclub DJ," and obviously you have your stories, and it was great fun. But then after a while, you think, "Oh, I'm getting a bit too old for this." So I just wanted a day job, just wanted a 9-to-5 day job. So. One Sunday night, I just thought I was going to get a job. The next day, I got an interview, got the job, started on Tuesday, worked my way up in management, so then like senior operations roles and stuff like that. With all the
is that where I first met you?
Possibly. So like, I went into like sales and call centers and all that nonsense as like my main way of making money, like my main form of income. Worked my way up to. This is a story for you. I worked my way up to senior operations role. So like I was making like silly money. So at the end of the month, I'd get paid and I'd be like, you just paying me this much for doing this job. That's crazy. Didn't get that. Didn't understand that at all. I like nice car and all that. And then it was a Tuesday. I remember it. It was a Tuesday lunchtime. And I was sat at my desk and I thought, feel a bit fed up today. So I went and sat in my car, put Reverend and the Makers on, right? And Heavyweight Champion came on. And the lyrics just went, walk out your job, walk out your job. So I went back in, went up to the director's suite, and I just sat with the director. I said, right, I'm going to get off now. And they said, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. I went, no, I mean, I'm getting off. That's me done. And they're like, what? And like 10 minutes later, I was sat in my car driving home, just walked out on this like massive money job with nothing to go to. And then the next day, woke up. Well, when I got home that afternoon, I drove up to my house in my car after I just left that job. I just put my head in my hands going, what have I done? Like, that's just crazy. And I was like, nah, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make it work. And then just basically went straight into music management and music promotions as well.
So how do you go straight into something like that? Do you have to advertise yourself? Did you know the market well enough, or did you know there enough to be able to?
Yeah, so on the side, as well as like doing the daytime job before, I was doing like band photography and stuff like that. So I got to meet loads of bands and whatever. Yeah, one of them asked me to do photos from like live and in the studio. Then I went back to the studio. And then they said like, "Do you fancy giving us a go, managing us?" I was like, "I'm not a music manager. I wouldn't know where to start." But then when you look at it, like all the stuff that I was doing like before, with like the senior operations roles and stuff like that, just exactly the same thing, really, just in a different environment entirely, like completely different environment. So you're still working with people, so you're still people managing, looking at every extreme of a human being, from being top of the world after a great gig to being down on their arse if they're having a bad experience and stuff like that. So there's still that. And then there's obviously all the business side of it and contacts and finances and all that. So I found it really easy doing that. And then skipping along a bit now, like tour managing as much as I do, kind of just, I feel totally at home now, totally at ease with band management and tour management. I think it's piece of cake. I think the promotions that I used to do when I used to put gigs on, that was the stressful thing, I would say. That, the promoter side of it, and putting shows on, actually putting gigs on, and like risking the cash and all that, because it's obviously a risky business.
Definitely, because I can remember you trying to get me out of my comfort zone with live shows, because I was just putting them on at the Frog and Parrot, which was just easy. It was free entry, and I got a couple of quid for putting a few bands on, so you couldn't really lose. But then you were across the other side of the city, like putting gigs on at like Plug and that kind of stuff, where it like 300-400 quid to hire a venue, so you've got to sell a lot of tickets before you break even. You mind, the paying a band, it's just the real how real things are. And that's more prevalent today, because the higher costs for venues have all gone up post-COVID, because they're trying to claw some money back.
Yeah, especially in your neck of the woods in Manchester.
Too right. They've all gone up. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's mad. I think I learned a lot promoting gigs, and I think if I could say anything to any band that's like, promoters are rubbish, promoters don't do enough, promoters don't promote gigs hard enough, they don't treat us properly enough, the best education you can get as a band is put your own gig on. And that's not me saying, well, if you don't like it, do it yourself. It's literally learn the trade, learn every aspect of the music industry. So put your own gigs on, dry hire, and put your own shows on, just so you get that understanding of the whole business side of it, in every aspect, from going out and getting the riders and how much to spend on that, and how much to put into promo to sell the gig out, and what's profits left, if any. Usually none. Usually none. So yeah, I think for me, I think it's getting, especially with the way that music's going, what I've noticed is it's more and more important to have a solid business understanding as a band or an artist now than it's ever been, in every aspect. So because you essentially seeing bands coming out of record label deals and pulling that and keeping that in control themselves, same like, you know, looking after publishing and things like that, and the touring and stuff like that. There's a lot of like self-control that's been almost enforced on bands, but also some bands are looking up and going, actually, this is like a better way of doing it, you know, do it all ourselves as much as we possibly can. See an example of that with, you know, Ratings have had help along the way, but like they're a good example of the idea of it, I would say, to at the minute, to bands, but like other bands as well that are like setting up little businesses. I know there's a band in Manchester, I don't know if they've done it yet, but like setting up like their own recording studios and rehearsal space and renting it out to other bands and stuff and operating as a business, and being more of an actual business. And that's where that is the best opportunity, I would say, for a band to be self-sustained and, you know, able to look after itself financially and things like that, is if they're essentially a business, you know.
And it's not easy to run a business, particularly if you're in a band with like mates, and some of your mates aren't that like-minded as well.
Yeah,
it can make it just a massive challenge, can't it? And
it can, but I think that's where you don't necessarily have to insist that all the band are doing all the things all the time. Yeah. I think if you've got a couple of experts in your band that are like the best at something, you know, they'd be the best at organising a rehearsal space and recording studio and stuff. Let them set one up if they want to do it, that is, and then the other two can go off and do what they want to do artistically, you know what I mean, or whatever.
As long as it's Summit though, to move the band forward.
Yeah. The most successful bands that I've worked with and seen and met and worked with, like on gigs even, or, you know, other stuff, are the ones that are absolutely ravenous for it, like absolute fire in the belly. Like, and when you get all four contributing and then you get a manager in as well, or even without a manager, just everyone's absolutely on it, all chucking in, all digging in and all contributing, that they're the ones that like, they do well. You can tell who they are as well from the outside without even knowing any internal information. So you can tell, I bet you could guess like a few bands where everyone's pummeling everything in to the band to make it work, rather than just the lead singer or just the drummers, the organizer or whatever. Everybody's in it, contributing equally. I bet you could like predict a few of them or guess who they are, because they're how they're doing, and you see it from the outside, you know.
Mercians, obviously, you know, guys, cover sets, October Drift. They're all so passionate and grafting every minute of the day just to make their dream happen.
Yeah, and they're not like
you feel it when you're around those people as well, don't you? It feels different, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's like me working with October Drift. I think that's been the biggest motivator for me to keep going and keep excited by everything, because they just drag you along. You're like, there's no passengers in this team whatsoever. Everybody's on it, from Josh on merch to the lads to the sound engineers that we take out on tour. You know, everybody's firing on all cylinders all the time, and it's hard to keep up, and that's how it should be.
Yeah. Who were the first band that you decided to manage, and what did you change about them straight away?
So first one that I did manage was it's like a classic rock band called Abandoned Faith, just a local band in, you know, in Sheffield and stuff. And they were just sound guys. I think they were doing all right in terms of just being on the local scene and stuff, but I just tidied them up, got them better shows, essentially. I think there's a lot to what I learned at that point, which is like my earliest point in band management and just working with bands. And I think it's the same as a band as well. If you haven't got a manager or whatever, is to turn stuff down, like turn bad stuff down, and don't be tempted and flattered by offers, but to turn it down and look at like the bigger picture. And you know, like the old story about how many times you play your home city and stuff like that I've always been passionate about. Like, don't overplay. You know, just strategize rather than just take any gig and just play it and then see what happens next, you know.
Well, you can, you know, when I were in a band, we played Sheffield fucking 5 times a month. And I can remember, like, it's like one of the biggest mistakes to do, because you just saturate in a crowd, rather than you might have 5 people at every gig. Sack that off, just do one big gig with 50 people there, and you'll have a miles better time.
Yeah,
everybody will enjoy the gig, and they might come back to another one rather than feel like they're being dragged down to, you know, because their mates dragged them down type thing. They might actually enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Because like nobody wants to see you rattling around an empty room. you know, 14 times a month. And when you were kicking about, it's like you're old now. So like when you were kicking about with your band, people used to go out to gigs 7 nights a week, didn't they? So it was even easier then. So like now to do it, it's like that's nuts. But you know, I'm over shouting about that though, about don't overplay your home city, because I think everyone's learned. Like, there was a time where everybody was just going nuts, but I think most bands have learned now not to do that anyway. So
unless it's Tramlines weekend.
Yeah, Tramlines weekend. Yeah,
they were a band, weren't they, that were playing 10 times over at Tramlines weekend.
Yeah, with Django. Yeah, I think I've done that myself. I've committed that crime, and I think it was great. It was great fun. it was fantastic fun. But yeah, I think on the actual tours around the year rather than the festivals, I think it's important to get out your hometown, innit?
Yeah, definitely, and just learn from what's around you and get yourself out of your comfort zone. I'm always banging on about that on the podcast. You know, like you get yourself out of your little comfort zone, and opportunities will come your way because people see you in different surroundings and they want a part of what you're doing as well. There's worth from what everybody does. But if you're just in the same place doing it, nobody's going to.
You just actually pricked my memory there. Because like one of the things that I used to find when I was again starting out as in management and stuff and working with bands is when you get bands that kind of conquer the home city, let's say, so like they do all right. You know, not talking like academy level, but they do like big gigs in the home city. They can sell them out, and they go and everyone has a great time. And they think like, oh, this is it, like we made it, it's fantastic. But what they don't realize is all them gigs and grafting up to then in that city, they've done it in one city, but they've got to do it in every other one now. So they go to Leeds or they go to Bristol, nobody knows them, they play to 4 people. So it's important not to get too carried away with like being the king of your hometown as well, a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
How do you advise bands how to get out of their hometown?
There's a lot of
support slots, that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Support slots are quite obviously they're ideal because like you can just rock up and you don't have much pressure on you, do you? And you can get off home early as well, go to bed. But I think it's like it's if you take away the music aspect of it, so if you take away like the actual gigs and the CDs and the singles and the albums a little bit, and you just talk about like the people, I think just getting to know people in the music industry, but not begging them all the time and hassling them and, you know, and just nagging them for stuff or asking them for anything, just getting to know them. And I think in my job, obviously, tour manager, I do get to know quite a lot of venues, promoters and stuff, because that's what I'm doing all the time, just heading to a new venue and talking to a new promoter and a new sound engineer and a new, you know, whatever. So you kind of spread your wings that way. So then next time I need a tour, obviously working with agents at the minute, but if I didn't have a booking agent, just be talking to them, saying like, your fans putting these on, you know, this band I've got on a Tuesday night, if need be, it doesn't matter, I'll just get out and about and start building.
That always fascinates me. How does an agent know where to book the band for the next tour? So they've just had a tour, it's done all right, you know, they broke even, blah blah blah, whatever. How does a booking agent know for that band to grow further? They usually pick, I don't know, smaller venues in places where there's just a pocket of fans there, or a bigger venue if they know they're going to do all right. They tend to not do the same cities every tour as well. They change it up a little bit. What's the mechanics behind knowing where to book a band next for a tour?
It's quite strategic, and I think that's where the band manager comes in as well, and the band even. But usually, if you get a good booking agent that actually cares about your band and it's not just business and pulling a bit of money in, they will have a strategy for your band. And if anyone's looking now that's got an agent that doesn't have a strategy for the band, then change your agent. So I think if with a good agent you can flourish, and I think if they've got an idea of how to build, they've got experience, most of them, so it's like on how to build a band. But like now I'm putting a tour together for April 24th for one band that I'm working with, and we're just about to embark on one that does like key cities, so like the major cities that they do well in, and ones that we think they could sell well in. The next one's going to be like B towns and out the way places, just to say hello for the first time. And you expect that like the tickets might be lower, but it's building blocks. You got to go in and build up. you know, and so it's kind of that. What you don't want to do is just go back and back and back and back to the big cities over and over and over again. You want to spread your wings a little bit because it leads to further growth, you know.
And that's when you see whiny fans like, oh, you're not playing Manchester. Oh, you're not playing Sheffield. Oh, leaving us out, are you?
Right, now you got me going. I knew you would.
Let's go.
I knew you would. I thought I'm going to talk to Carl today. I'm not going to let him wind me up and get me on a rant. But, right, if you're a music fan and if
I'm just going to get off for 20 minutes. I'll just leave you to chat, all right, man?
If you're a music fan and your band announces a tour, just remember before you post, oh, what? No Milton Keynes or something like that. Just remember there's a band on the other side of that band announcement, tour announcement, that's been really excited about putting the tour together, and they've dropped it out. And then the first thing they get back is absolutely crushed by negative responses. Or it's not negative. I get it. It's like it's fans that are just disappointed that they're not coming to their town. But get on a train and go and see them. Don't whinge about it straight back on their announcement day. Because I get a tour post sometimes on social and I get ready to press post. And I just think, I just can't do it because I know what I'm going to get. I know what's going to happen. Then 10 minutes later, it's like, what? No, Manchester. It's like, played Manchester 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We're playing Liverpool. It's half an hour on a train.
That gig.
Yeah, get on a train. If you cared that much about them, get on a train. It's nearly as bad as the rant about bloody, now you've done it. Like on midweek dates, right? When fans say, oh no, it's a school night. That it's like, just don't post that. Don't ever post that if you're a fan. Just say, like,
they're a child, they can't go out on a weeknight. It's just like,
yeah. But then you think, like, if Nirvana did a reunion gig that same night in that same city, they'd be there. So like, let's not bullshit. It's not that it's a work night. It's just that it's not that exciting for you.
Just using it, yeah,
they're just fine, which is fine.
Yeah.
You know, just say, just don't say anything.
Yeah,
shut up.
While we're on it, what do you feel about announcing stage times?
Done. I've had 16 cups of coffee this morning. I'm on one. You know, I'm shattered.
For a bit of context, Neil hates it when people post set times. Just tell us why you don't think it's a good idea.
It comes from a good place. It comes from a good place. It's not just me being a dick, right? It comes from a good place. It's that I found when I was promoting gigs, if you didn't publish the stage times, people would turn up earlier. The atmosphere would bubble and buzz and crackle, and you'd have a better night overall. The supports would have more people in front of them. They'd have a better night. It helps the support band grow and find new fans and stuff. That's where it comes from. And then it turned into a online Armageddon, didn't it, really, every time I mention it? But because, like, you get fans going like, well, I'm getting a train, so I need to know what time you're on because I'm getting a train straight from work and I don't finish work till 5. It's like, well, that's fine. Just get there when you can.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the time that you can get
the last train back.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. It's literally not going to change the time that you can get to the gig. Yeah. So just get to the gig when you can. It's fine.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I
love these little
but that one did come from a good place in that I'm really passionate about sport bands having people in front of them.
Yeah.
No, I come from out of town,
Oh yeah, no, I get it. And listing.
Are you looking at a list of things to wind me up there?
I'm not.
I know what you like.
I probably am. I've lost my train of thought, and I'm trying to move my lips and let words talk. It's quite selfish from people that are looking in that say that kind of stuff as well, isn't it? Because it's all about them, and how dare you book a gig when it's going to interfere with my travel time?
Yeah,
it's all bullshit, isn't it? That.
Yeah, it was like, for me, if I'm going to a gig, I book that night out, and that's me done. I'm going to the gig. You know what I mean? I don't like, but if I've got something else to do, and I think, well, I might nip and see that gig after. So, like, say if I'm going to see a movie and it finishes at 8:00, I'm not going to ask the band what time you on. I'm just going to get to the gig as soon as the movie's finished.
Yeah.
What else can you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Right, Russell Band. What about him? What about what I have seen on the news earlier is that that post from a band called Easy Life,
Yes.
EasyJet are
Yeah.
suing them because the name's too similar to Easy Summit.
Yeah, I think they've got a history of it. So like they've sued someone else before. Don't know if you know that, or I can't. So I was hoping you'd remind me what it was.
Another band?
No, it weren't a band. It was something else. It was like it was unrelated to holidays. It was something totally different. So it was like Easy Food or something. And they sued them. I don't know if they were successful, but Easy Life I've known Easy Life for ages. I put them on in Sheffield years ago, and they've just gone stratospheric. They're done amazing. They're really nice lads as well.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, EasyJet, the holiday company, decided to try and take the band name off them. It's just horrific. The good thing is, though, I've seen is that the music community tends to stick up for its own, doesn't it? And I think I've seen that already. Everybody's having a pop at EasyJet right now, which might be the intention. They might just want the publicity, but yeah, it's horrific. It would
be an amazing publicity stunt if they just made it up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that did cross my mind.
Yeah,
it's a deliberate stunt or whatever. But I messaged him saying like it would be the ultimate trolling reply if you'd change your name to the Ryanairs.
That's
just do that.
Like from a mechanical type of point of view, though, what would that band, if they had to change the name?
Yeah,
would it be like starting again from a little bit promotion wise? And
it'd be horrific.
Wouldn't it?
It would honestly be horrific. I think you've seen it with like when Slaves has changed their name, Soft Play, you kind of disappear instantly. So like to try and maintain momentum and just keep people updated with things, and because you know yourself, like if you switch your socials for any reason or whatever, so join us on our new page, you're gonna get like 5% that follow you onto the new page. So it's like, yeah, it's horrific. It's not easy. So I do feel for him. I hope that EasyJet just stops, and I hope that the music community continues to keep backing them and shouting it out and shouting it down. So I think it's disgusting.
It is, and this week as well, just in the news, lost another music venue, Jimmy's. I can remember going to the opening to Jimmy's, and it was just like, oh yeah, nice, exciting. It was exciting to have Jimmy's in Manchester, and when that went. It's still in Manchester now at the road in Ancoats, but it's not a music venue anymore. So it's kind of like gone as like somewhere where I went quite a lot because I used to go to Jimmy's in Manchester a right lot. So I was excited about the Liverpool one. Went to the opening, amazing setup. Great for bands. Stage is great in it. Downstairs, and it's all like a cool little venue as well.
Yeah,
it's a shame that another one's gone, and it might not be the last as well.
Well, I've got a band that's due to play that in a few weeks, or were due to play that. They've had to move that to the Arts Club, Apollo Junction, and we'd sold a lot of tickets for it, like a lot of tickets in there. It was going to be a top night. It's a great venue, and I think like it's a music community as well. That, so I think Red Rum Club, the Red Rum Club boys, they like work there behind the bar and stuff as well. Or did, I don't know if they do now. And it's they are good people. It's always been a cracking venue with a great atmosphere. Put October Drift in there like a couple of times. They've been in there. So I've worked on that, and it's always been like fantastic, really good, amazing lights, great sound, good vibes, and gone.
Yeah, you still have you heard any latest with the Lead Mill and that kind of stuff? I'm just trying to think of other venues that are going through problems. Night and Day, that seems to have calmed down in Manchester. They're not really talking about that anymore now.
So the next guy moves into a flat. Every week for them, doesn't it? Bless him. Mad. It's just crazy. I think there's some legislation that's coming in to try and help with that, that says if it's a music venue, you can't move in next door and then start whinging about it, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I also, I feel sorry for the venues that try and do things right and try and do things properly and look after the bands and try and operate properly and have a nice clean venue that's clean and tidy.
Do you find that they're not very clean and tidy most of the time?
You go in some, and you go to some venues and you just think you don't really deserve to have a venue, just for the working practices, the way they treat bands, the way that the place is maintained and stuff like that. So, and then you get other ones where they might be they might have like a scruffy venue, but they're trying the hardest to get they're creating a community, they're having a positive effect on the music scene and stuff, and then you're right behind those venues. And I think because things are so competitive at the minute, I think you'll see that the strong ones rise to the top, hopefully, and keep their position. I think it's just a shame that Jimmy's couldn't hang in, because I know that the promoter over in Liverpool that we always use, called Evol, they had a number of gigs on the run up to Christmas that like had sold really strongly, but Jimmy's just couldn't hang in long enough to see the benefits of that, because there were some big gigs going in there that had sold a lot of tickets, including mine.
It's always a shame when another one goes, but just going back to the band manager thing, you must get quite a lot of messages, DMs and that kind of stuff from bands that are interested in working with you. No,
probably no.
Air them off.
No, you get some from time to time, but what I would say is the ones that I get, 99.9999% don't want a manager, or don't understand they don't want a manager. They just want more gigs, and they want someone to do their social media for them.
Yeah,
which I don't do. So like, for me, it's like some of them, most of them are from bands that are like just starting out. And you take a look at everything they're doing, and it's like it's completely wrong. You could make a big impact on them, but then it's like straight away from talking to them that they don't necessarily put the effort in. And if they don't put the effort in, the last thing you want to do is manage a band that don't put effort in. My God.
Well, I've ended up in that situation, and it didn't end well at all. When there's certain things that need to be done, and the bands just can't be arsed with that kind of stuff, then they're never gonna get anywhere, are they?
No, so what I do is get the hell out of Dodge if it's that situation. If I find a band and they sit there and they want everything done for them, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's a team, and I think like if there's 4 in the band, then it's a team of 5 that should be expected to be cracking on all week, essentially, all day, every day.
So the aggressive roster. Talk us through who you've got on your roster at the minute and who you're working with, and what's coming up for them.
So Apollo Junction at the minute are absolutely flying high. They're doing really good. They've been on the last 2 match of the days. They've just been signed up. So they get their music used a lot on TV and movies and stuff. They've just signed up to 2 TV shows as well. So like the music's going to be featured on that. They're on Radio 2 at the minute. They've got a new album out on the 20th of October called Here We Are, which is by far the biggest thing they've ever done. So they've in the first week, they outsold the previous 2 albums put together in the first week. So like the momentum's there now as well. And they've got a tour that starts at the end of this month in Blackpool. And then this is the tour I'm talking about, where you do like key cities where you can do well and what have you. So they're doing that, and that tour's starting to sell out as well. And the ones that haven't sold out are selling really strongly. So that's like an awesome tour that's coming up for them. So there's a lot of working on. So I'm working on next year already as we speak. So that's, I've got an album campaign, upcoming tour, and then next year's strategy and next year's gigs. I'm working with their booking agent at the minute on booking all them in. I'm working on next year's plan already. So that's why I'm tired, Carl.
I know, man. I'll let you get back to bed in a bit.
That's why he said, let's do it in the morning. I'm like, all right, great. That's great.
One thing that I found interesting when we were talking just off the camera kind of thing, you mentioned that the sale of the album for Apollo Junction is going that well that potentially it could chart. And then, but the mechanics of it being able to chart means you need tags in it, you need barcodes, there's a system. What is that system to?
Yeah, so you to chart, you have to be actually registered with the charts company, which this is all learning curve for the band and for myself, that because we're doing everything without a distributor on this one, which basically means everything's uploaded ourselves onto the internet for the streaming stuff. As every band does, I would imagine, and then like the physical stuff, like the albums, is trying to get as many of those sold as possible, and make them all chart eligible. So every copy that we sell, we want to be chart eligible, so it counts towards the charts. The reason that we're doing a chart push is accidental. So what happened was we put the album on sale. and it just went. It honestly went just nuts. And you looked at like the sales figures. It's like, oh my god, like we're already pretty much charted already with the sales figures. So what do we do? It's like never really done a chart push before Apollo Junction. So it's like, well, I guess we'll see what we can do, then give it a go and like just see how far up we can get it. If it's number 99 after everything, that's fine. So that's like it's the first chart placement, and you know, these lads are humble enough to say it's the start of our story rather than 99 or 98 or whatever. If it's like top 40, that would just be unbelievable, like unbelievable. But the sales figures at the minute, so we get sales reports in from the independent record shops that we're using, and we're doing some direct consumer stuff ourselves through the band's label, Shedload Records. And the sales figures are just nuts. Every time we release like a new version or a new variant or a limited edition CD or whatever, that their fans just snapping it up. And we're also selling to like vinyl fans a lot as well, because we've done Shedload Records have done some amazing like variants and versions of it, like an ultraviolet version and a gold version, a marble version, and stuff like that. And they've just been flying out to vinyl fans as well, because you know how collectible they are. So everything's limited edition, so it's signed and that. So yeah, it's kind of, we've fallen into this chart push thing, almost been forced into it to see what happens. So it's a bit of an adventure.
And is vinyl still hard work to get your hands on it, to get orders these at the minute now? Is it got better now?
Not really. It's better than it was. It can be. I think that we've got our label with Apollo Junction, Shedload. They've got like great contacts with the vinyl producers. So what they do for Shedload is, in between like a massive run like U2 and Rolling Stones and stuff, in between those, they'll press ours. As quickly as possible for him. So like the turnaround time's been really good. So thankfully, because the ones that we've got are nearly sold out, we have to do a repress and get some more done.
Yeah, nice one. And do you want to mention another band on the roster? Obviously, October Drift. Last time I saw those boys were down at Tramlines, and I were using a 360-degree camera interviewing the boys, and you were sat at the side.
Oh yeah, forgot
pulling faces. That's actually on YouTube at the minute. If you
thank you,
I'll put a link to it at the end of the podcast.
Thanks for that. October Drift are heading out to Europe, so that's going to be like November.
Arena gig as well. There's going to be an arena stop there as well.
They're all pretty much arenas.
Are they?
Yeah, all November. So it's like, I think 14, 15 dates in France, Switzerland, and then Switzerland, Luxembourg, and then they finish at the Accor Arena in Paris, which is like 20,000 seater stadium, so arena, isn't it? Arena. But they're all pretty much arenas or massive venues there, and it'll be like the 4th or 5th time out to Europe. They're doing really well in Europe, like amazingly well in Europe. So it could be that they end up being bigger in Europe than in England, even, you know, which you find with a lot of bands. You know, a lot of bands are like that.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works out, and because I can remember speaking to Martin Atkins a long time ago. He used to be in Pill and that kind of stuff. He's based in Chicago now, and he teaches music out there. Yeah. He said, "Never know where your crowd's going to be." No. So don't assume that. And we were talking about, you know, bands trying to take over your home city. Don't assume that your fans are in your home city.
No, definitely not.
Get out there, and you know, it might not even be the same country that you're in.
Yeah, too right. Yeah, absolutely. So like October Drift, probably one of their main cities in England is Manchester. Yeah. Manchester is just the home of music at the minute for me. I think it's unrivaled for getting people out to gigs and stuff. Manchester's not the easiest sell. It's not, I won't say it's the easiest sell, but it's like one of the strongest for live music in the whole country that I've, you know, experienced, for sure.
One interesting bit of information I heard recently, and I do see it just with the size gigs that I put on personally, is that somebody told me, I think it were, I can't remember who it was, but they said the Manchester aren't selling as much as Sheffield and Leeds at the minute for like local type size gigs. He said there's something going on it's a bit of a challenge in Manchester at the minute around it, and I've been trying to, and I felt it. Maybe I need to look at myself how it's promoting gigs, which is, you know, always something that I'm willing to do, but it's everybody's buying last minute, completely last minute.
There's definitely been a massive change. So like when you announce a tour these days, like your first week is absolutely critical. If you don't push it in your first week, you're gonna get very as a band or a promoter, you're gonna get very nervous all the way up to the gig because it dies off, doesn't it? And then it like have that last glut just before your gig itself. So yeah, there's definitely that. There's definitely that trend.
And I think, you know, because I've put many gigs on in Sheffield, Manchester, it's everybody's feeling the pinch as well, aren't they, with the cost of living crisis and that kind of stuff. And I think just from like thinking about it a little bit, everybody's prepared to save a bit of money and go to the big shows that might be £100 down at Arena or something, and then just save money and not go out midweek or a Friday one night to see a local band. They're saving money from those type of things to do the bigger things. It feels like that could be.
I don't know if it's that way around though, because if you think about it, like if you've got I don't know, like a massive arena show that's coming to town, then you kind of, it gets announced. It's like, oh, there's I need to go to that, so you buy that. And you've spent £100 or £120 on 2 tickets or 1 ticket even these days. And then you're kind of stuck financially for a bit, aren't you? So it might be that like they haven't got that money after buying that big ticket. You know, it might be that way around. I don't know. Who knows? But it's definitely there.
And everybody's had to put the prices up. So the basic, like, and this is, I've tried to keep mine as cheap as possible, but at £8 a ticket, which is, it's a bit of money if you're a student, innit? You know, and you're and you're not earning, you might just have a little pub job and you're studying. It's a lot of money for people, and they don't make the decision to spend that money until it's last minute, because if they can't make it, then they've wasted that money as well. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And just because high venues have gone up, ticket prices have had to go up to just to try and break even. And breaking even is, you know, it doesn't usually happen till sometimes it don't happen till late on in the night.
Yeah.
When you realize, fucking hell, I ain't lost money, that's a bonus.
I think that's another reason why bands need to be a little bit more patient with promoters, and also try putting their own show on just so they feel that pain. And see the challenges of it, you know. And if they put their own gig on, they've got more of a vested interest, I guess, to some degree, for selling more tickets. So they'll get like the best case scenario really out of it. But it's still a good learning curve, you know.
Yeah, and I've seen you've signed another new band. I was with you at Tramlines and we saw these guys live, these little boys jumping on the bar, playing guitar on top of a bar. You know, how old are these boys? Tell us about your new signing.
So they're called Revivalry. They're very proudly from Cleethorpes / Grimsby, around that region. So it's not like they're going to pretend that they're from Leeds or Sheffield or London or whatever. They are going to be proud. They are proudly from where they're from, which has got a little bit of a growing music scene actually. And Grimsby got Doc's Academy, which is like one of the best venues in the country now as well, like a new venue. That's amazing. So they're from a good neck of the woods. They are 14, 15 years old, like young lads, raw potential, unbelievable musicians, like incredible musicians, and stage confidence, because they just go out and gig. They gig more than some of these bands that kick around the local scene moaning that they're not getting anywhere. You know, Revival just gig every weekend, twice a weekend if they can, at least, and sometimes after school. And they're doing they're a band that, it's my first like young band, I guess, and I've always wanted to find a band that's like really exciting at that age, where you can like, wow, these have got potential, and see what happens. They're already booked for big festivals next year. They've got some great contacts, and mixed with mine, it's promising. Nobody's really reluctant to book them because of their age or whatever. There's just a lot of people are taking my word on it, and booking them blind, even just on the hype. And I think there's big things for them. They're outstanding musicians, like unbelievable. But the stage confidence got me. You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I can remember when just this little kid just having it on stage, just like, come on, getting people towards, like, to sit closer to him.
Yeah,
there's bands that have been around years that still don't do that for some reason, when it's one of the most basic thing to know. And they're just 14, 15. They know all these things, and they know they're doing it. They're doing all the tricks and making it an event for not just them, for the people that are there as well.
there's like zero ego with them. So what they do is when they support a bigger band, which they have been doing as much as possible, they soak up all the best practice from it. And then sometimes, like if we're watching that band and I'm stood behind them, I'll just tap them on the shoulder, say, "Don't do that." You know what I mean? Or did you see that? That's a good idea if you want to think about doing that, maybe. And they'll soak it up and they'll take it on board and try and implement it. So I think because of that, because their attitude, so they've got musicianship, which they're with their instruments, they've mastered them. They're unbelievable. They're already learning like how to develop the whole sonics through pedals. It's like the pedal work at the minute is like insane. And they're starting to write their own songs as well. But the stage performance is like second to none. It's unbelievable. They did a support slot the other night, and the place was absolutely rammed for them. So already people have like words got around their area where they just ram venues out. It's amazing, and we've not even really started with them yet. So we're just getting that off the ground. Yeah. So I think next year,
so like down to earth and just nice young lads just enjoying it. It was nice. It was so nice just to see somebody fucking enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're so miserable bastards these days, aren't they?
It's cool to be serious at the minute with bigger bands, and I think sometimes you just gotta just get some joy in your life, aren't you? So I think Revival is the name of the band, and I think follow them on socials if anyone's watching or listening to this. And just chart their progress as we work with them, because I think it's going to be exciting times.
Nice one. And anybody else that you'd like to mention before we let you get off and back to bed, mate?
So there's a new band which is formed out of the not the Embers, but like a couple of bands are on hiatus a little bit. So we've got Laurie, who used to be is in Weekend Recovery. They're on hiatus at the minute, and Kira from the Sea Monsters. So like two bands with pedigree. They've come together to form a new band called Speed Dating, and I think they've just launched the merch and all that, and they've got the first gigs coming up, and that's an exciting project. So I think listening to just the demos that they're doing, that's going to be special. So I hope that they can get out there, in the coming months as well. So that's like another new project that we're working on.
So how do you find time for all of this stuff now?
Just don't sleep.
Yeah.
Don't sleep. At the minute, I'm going to bed at like 2 a.m. and getting up at 6 because there's that much on with this album push for Apollo Junction and like everything else that needs doing. Working on 4 hours sleep at the minute.
And how do you look after yourself with all this going on? How do you look after yourself, mate?
Well, I like to go to the seaside every now and again.
Yeah,
just chill out, watch the sea.
You do. You just like going to places where there's absolutely appalling karaoke, don't you? And fun there.
Yeah,
and filming those poor bastards.
Yeah, I think anyone that's got me on their social media, like on the Facebook anyway, will just see what happens to me accidentally sometimes.
Well, Neil, it's always a joy having a chat with you. Thanks for joining us today. Vital information. If you're in a band and listen to this and you wanted a few tips, there you go. That's for now. Well, thanks for joining us today, pal. Have you got much on for the rest of your day today?
Yeah. Honestly, it's nuts. I write a to-do list in the morning, and this morning I'm just like, wow, this is going to take till Friday, and by lunchtime, another 10 million other things will fall in. And I know I sound like a whinging a little bit, but I'm not. I love it, and the more things that drop in, the better. It's getting more exciting.
Yeah, more time. You know when it gets really, really, really thing. It sounds like I'm like if I'm out and about having a pint with someone, it sounds like I'm moaning. I have to physically say I'm not really moaning. I'm just just
saying how it is.
Just saying how it is and just working through the motions a little bit in my head.
Yeah. I think you're doing cracking with RGM, so keep going with that. That's good. And build up your YouTube channel in it now.
Well, that's what it is. If you're watching this and you like to subscribe, Neil says subscribe, didn't you, mate?
I think it's worth subscribing just to see your wallpaper because it looks like moldy custard or something. It's horrific.
I like it. I like the yellow.
It's like Stilton, blue Stilton.
Right, we're going to get off. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week. Toodaloo. Nice one. Cheers, Neil.
Thanks, mate.